Both of the mainline Zelda games on Switch were dramatic shifts in Zelda convention. Breath of the Wild introduced the open world formula to Zelda after the most linear Zelda game, being Skyward Sword, released. Breath of the Wild was a spiritual successor to Zelda 1 on the NES. The focus on exploration and a beautiful open world was amazing to see for the first time. Tears of the Kingdom came out 6 years after many delays thanks to the pandemic, but refined the formula. The dungeons felt like dungeons when compared to the Divine Beasts. One critique amongst both games was the non-linear story that had to make sense out of order, so it was decently weak compared to the series past. Now that we are on the Switch 2, it leaves me and many Zelda fans wondering, what's next? Now, I'm not saying that we need a new Zelda game right this second, but come on, it's fun to speculate. I need it! Now, Zelda as a series has had two distinct 3D gameplay styles. One is the straightforward linear action-adventure games. You go to a temple, get an item, fight a boss, and rinse and repeat. Each Zelda game with this style does add things to make it more unique, but this is the basic formula. The other gameplay style is the exploration-based open world. Weapons can break, you can gather hundreds of materials, and the world is massive and sprawling with tons of things to do and tons of places to explore. Now, there is a group of Zelda fans that would argue we should get a linear entry, but I don't see that as a possibility. You see, Nintendo as a company thrives on innovation, so why would they go back to a tried and true formula when they have the brand new open world format? It's clear that the next Zelda game will be open world. Both of the mainline Zelda games for the Switch are set in the same version of Hyrule, one just being updated with caves and sky islands. I think for this new game, it's safe to assume that we will be getting a new world to explore. Could this game be set in a different place other than Hyrule? Yes, of course, but probably not. Since the game will likely focus on a new incarnation of Link and Zelda, we will most likely get a new Hyrule along with them. As for the species in this game, Hylians, Gorons, Zoras, Ritos, and Gerudo will probably return. This means landmarks like Death Mountain, Zora's Domain, and Hyrule Castle will also come back. I feel the world will be completely different though. They could do this by changing where each village is located along with the biomes. I also see the Rito going back to their Wind Waker rendition, as I can imagine a brand new Dragon Roost Island that towers even past Death Mountain. The Breath of the Wild designs could work, but I feel the Zelda team would want to make this game feel different. Another change I think is possible would be the Zora changing to River Zoras, also known as Zolas. This could make the dungeon here a lot more difficult, as you have to fight through evil Zora to get in it in the first place. Maybe the storyline could involve the Zola being forced to trust no one as something is happening in their land, and then Link would pull up and save them, which then makes them friendly again. This is all just a shot in the dark. One last part of the world building I would suggest is the return of an older species, the Kokiri. I feel Nintendo would want to make this game similar-ish to Ocarina of Time, in terms of its legacy, but in terms of the story. And having the Kokiri would be a great jumping off point. Imagine a sprawling lost woods with plenty of settlements and even enemy-infested parts. Top it off with a massive dungeon located in the Great Deku Tree, they could cook. Now I know this goes against my claim of the game being wholly original, but I feel like they can reimagine these classic tropes. Also, side note, Hyrule Castle and the surrounding town will be restored, not in ruins like Breath of the Wild. One complaint that I feel will be addressed in this new game would be how the dungeons feel familiar with the same tasks being repeated. Case in point, the Divine Beasts. Tears tried to address this with all the dungeons, but they still involved getting to points and checking them off a list. With this new game, the dungeons will likely all have different tasks, whether it's freeing the Zora from fear of danger, or saving the Goron's mind so they can eat. I feel they can and will make each dungeon feel unique and worth making your way through. One challenge with this is that the dungeons used to introduce items that allowed you to solve new puzzles with a new toy. In the most recent games, the open world would give you all the tools you needed as soon as the tutorial was over. So either this game can counteract this by having some new items for each temple, or just ignoring it. In an ideal world, the items would be acquired in the temples and could unlock new areas on the map, but I doubt it. The dungeons in this game will probably meet in the middle, between the open world and the linear adventure. This is because Nintendo does value the freedom of an open world, so you will get all your new tools at the beginning of the game. The dungeons could just focus on one of the tools as a gimmick of it. As for shrines, I think we will get less than both Breath and Tears. This will make each one feel more fleshed out and worth going to. I found myself not wanting to look for the many shrines after a while, which it seems like a flaw to me. So if we get around 60, I feel like they wouldn't lose their charm. Unfortunately, I think they will all have the same design like in the Switch games, but a new aesthetic could just make me look over this fact. The last main part of this game I would like to go over is the story. Now you're saying, Swimpy, how the hell do you know what the story will be? I don't know. This would be the most speculative section. Before the story of Breath of the Wild, they looked at many stories the game could have had. One was Zelda Invasion, a story where aliens invaded Hyrule. This story could be very cool, as sci-fi is a distant cousin to fantasy. However, I feel there's a reason this wasn't chosen. Another possible story was just broad, but a world set in the future where Link wore modern clothes and played the guitar. Yeah, no. Sorry. I think this game very well could have a new threat rise in Hyrule. Maybe the Yiga clan, maybe an ancient evil, but I don't know. With the Wild Era story, it left off at a point where Ganon wasn't really necessary anymore. They left room for a new threat, and I believe they will pull the trigger. A villain like Vaatu would be pretty cool, an evil sorcerer that tries to further their power by destabilizing Hyrule. That would be a fun storyline to follow. The biggest complaint of the Wild Era is how the main stories are set in the past, and you only watched it happen. You aren't involved. I feel this will change in this game. This means you have to guide the player a tad more, but they can make it work. Maybe each temple needs an access item from a previous one, or each temple and its story is disconnected, but the story makes perfect sense when you complete all of them. Either way, I think the story will be set in the present. Besides what I suggested, it's impossible to tell what will happen. The story could be anything from traditional to something we never expected. Hell, they might make this a Wind Waker sequel, who knows. What I do know is the story will feel refined. They spent these past 2 games learning how to tell a story in the open world, so I know this one will improve on Breath and Tears' flaws. If not, sorry for getting your hopes up. Just in case you forgot, here's the gist of my prediction. The new game will be an open world adventure focused on improving what the previous games were weak in. This means better dungeons, less but more quality shrines, and a brand new Hyrule to explore. The story gets moved to the present so that you now feel involved, and it will focus on a new villain. Now, I am completely prepared to be wrong, but this is how I would set the focus on the new game. The final thing we would like to know is, when would this game come out? From Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild, we had to wait 6 years. The same was true with Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. I feel this trend will continue. This means we won't see this game until 2029. That means unfortunately we'll have to wait a while, but I'm not worried because I'm confident this game will be good, and I know Nintendo will have a set with 2D games and remakes throughout the way. Hopefully we get Wind Waker and Twilight HD ports, or a brand new remake of Ocarina of Time from the ground up. I also am in the midst of replaying Breath of the Wild on Switch, and I'm having fun, even though I know the game really well. So yeah, we gotta wait, but it will be worth it. Anyways, this is my take on the future of Zelda. Let me know down below what you would like to see from the next mainline Zelda game. I'm interested in seeing your thoughts, and maybe I'll see an even better idea than mine. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider dropping a like and subscribing, as it would help with the algorithm greatly. All the promo aside, I'm gonna go play Breath of the Wild again, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.